On this week's live stream, give Scratch an extreme makeover with this plugin that changes the size, shape, and color of your blocks. Check out some of the amazing digital art you can create with just 12 blocks. And we'll meet some of the new members of the Chromeworks co-op crew and see what they've been up to. All this and more coming up on the Chromeworks live stream. Welcome and good morning, everybody. It's Mr. T back again with another live stream. So, been a busy week around here at Chromeworks. We've been welcoming a couple of new co-op students. I have 4 of them signed up now, though not all of them are actually starting to work for me quite yet. But a big welcome to Aiden and Kevin, who both started working with me this week. And we'll be seeing a little bit of their work a little bit later on. As usual, I set all my new co-op students off learning my cat and mouse curriculum, which is a fun introductory Scratch curriculum, which I'm aiming at classroom kids from grade 4 to 8 or so. It's a great way to learn Scratch if you've never encountered it before, and so I'd encourage everyone to have a look at that if you haven't seen it yet. So in a couple of minutes I'm going to be showing you guys how to upgrade Scratch with some cool new looks and a whole new vibe to the program using a Scratch add-on program. It's a Chrome plugin. I'll be teaching you all about that. And I'll be doing a little bit of computer art with you, and we'll also be looking at some of the work of our new co-op students. So we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. I'm joined over on YouTube by a couple of people who whose names I haven't seen before. Iceologist, hello, and Lifang Guan, I think. Hi, hello. Top Secret Asian's back again. He was here last week. Blonde Gaming is here. Good morning, Blonde Gaming. And so Blonde Gaming is asking, is this a pre-made live stream or a live stream? Well, it's a bit of a combination of both. I talk and chat with my audience here live, but every once in a while I pull away to a prefab segment where I film something in advance, or one of my co-op students has filmed something in advance, and so that's how that works. Blonde Gaming is Aiden. Okay, sorry, I'm getting all these usernames mixed up. So Aiden's one of my co-op students. Welcome, Aiden. And meanwhile, over on Discord, I'm joined as usual by funny animator Jim from upstate New York. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mr. T.
What have you been working on lately, Jim?
Mostly just school stuff recently, because it's the last semester before I transfer to another school. But with the Fortnite Z game that I made last year, I've still been trying to work on the new season for that, but it's just been going really slowly because I haven't been able to focus as much on it as I was able to at the start of the pandemic.
Yeah, don't you hate it when real life gets in the way of Scratch, eh?
Yeah. Well, next year I want to try learning Unity and try to make a game out of that, so that might be fun.
Yeah, fantastic. It was when Jeffrey made the jump from Scratch into real coding in Unity, it was just a cascading series of aha moments for him, and it really set him on his way towards being a serious coder. And so yeah, it's absolutely the next step you want to do. Though I hear great things about the new Unreal Engine as well. It's supposed to be an even better coding platform than Unity is, though maybe a little more difficult to learn. Some of the new graphics coming out in the new version of it are amazing. Jeffrey's teachers and people who are in the know about coding are saying that the Unreal Engine is really the future of game development, more so than Unity is, and a lot of the top-notch devs are switching over to that platform. Anyway, welcome also to Kian from Ottawa. Kian's microphone is still busted, so he won't be saying hello to us right now, but welcome. All right, and if anyone else is lurking online, please drop a hello. Especially tell me where you come from, how old you are, and I'll give you a little shout out on the stream. Okay, let's get right to it here, guys. So, I was chatting last week with Jim, actually, and we were talking about Scratch add-ons, which is one of my favorite sort of throw the kitchen sink at it plugins for Chrome that has over 120 different customizations that you can do to Scratch to give it new functionality. If you guys go have a look at my Scratch screen here, you can see there's all sorts of new doodads and stuff on my screen. It won't be familiar to you guys because of some of the new stuff that I've added. Like over here on the top, you can see I have a pause button on my games. I've also got a little reader here saying what my XY coordinates are on the screen are. I've also got when things are running here, if I create a clone, for example, there's a, let me go create a clone right now. You can see that a clone counter appears at the top of the screen here, telling me how many clones are on the screen at any given time. And over in my costumes, there's a bunch of new controls at the bottom here that control onion skinning. So just a real way to put Scratch on steroids, and it's a fantastic thing. This week I wanted to focus specifically on some of the look and feel changes that could be done to Scratch with the help of this plugin. So I prepared a little video segment for you, which I'm going to show you guys right now. Today we're going to give Scratch a fun little makeover to change the look and feel of the program. We're going to use a Chrome extension called Scratch Add-on to change the color, size, and even the shape of our Scratch blocks. So stay tuned. So many of you guys will already be familiar with Scratch Add-ons, a free Chrome extension that adds some amazing new features, some of them super useful and some of them just funny to Scratch, including a dark mode so you can code late at night without hurting your poor little eyes, a pause button that sits beside the start and stop button so you can pause games in the middle of playing them, and onion skinning, an invaluable tool for animation that's strangely not included in the regular Scratch. There's so many more things you can do, and I'll be running a series later on from time to time on different ways that you can add on to Scratch. But today I thought I'd start by showing you how to change the interface of Scratch around to change the look and feel of your blocks. So let's start by installing the extension. You can find a link down in the description down below, or you can just go to Google and type Scratch add-ons for the spelling impaired. This is how you would spell it. There you go, just hit enter and it'll be the first thing that comes up. Here we go, we're inside the Chrome Web Store now. There's a little video here that gives you a preview of what this particular extension does, and it's a whole lot of things for sure. Just click the Add to Chrome button. It'll ask you for permission, so just add extension by clicking on this button here. It'll just take a minute. So I've got a message at the top of the screen here that says that the add-on has been successfully added. Now you should be able to see a little orange extension icon right here at the top right of your screen. If you don't see it, just click on this little puzzle icon, which will pull up your extensions view, and from there you can find the Scratch add-ons and just click on the little push pin beside it to pin it to your screen, and there we go. Now it's actually visible on the screen here. So you can launch this anytime by clicking on the orange button. It'll pull up a smaller version of the menu that will show you any particular messages you have inside Scratch if you're already logged into the Scratch server. There's a few other functions here, but including, you can see the add-ons here, or at least some of them. But to get access to the full collection of 110 add-ons, you're going to have to click on the little gear icon here at the top. So let's click on that, and that will open up a full page view with a whole bunch of add-ons for you to look through. And they all have a little bit of documentation to explain what they do, and you can kind of surf through these. And to get any of them working, you simply have to click on the little slider at the right-hand side of the screen, and that will turn it on and off. So most of the customizations we're looking for are available here under Themes in the left-hand navigation bar. Just click on that word and then click on Editor Themes, and you'll see a bunch of options. The first one we're going to look at is called Customizable Block Colors, and we're going to switch that on by clicking the little checkbox on the right-hand side. And you can see here that we have all our basic Scratch blocks here, and we can click on any one of them. If we pull down the right-hand menu, it gives us a chance to go back to some different themes here. Here's a dark theme for motion, and here's the colors that were available in Scratch 2.0. More flexible though, we can actually just click on the color and pull up a color picker here that we can use to pick any color we want. So I think what I'm going to do is change the event blocks to kind of a gray color here. And you'll see that when we flip over to the Scratch page, it automatically changes these motion blocks over to kind of a dark gray color. So we could go with a totally different kind of look for any of these blocks here. We can go over to the look block here, for example, and change it to maybe a darker color of purple, like this. And again, you can see that right away on the Scratch website. Beautiful. Okay, so where I find this particularly useful is in the orange blocks. The Scratch developers of Scratch seem to have a real fixation with the color orange. There's actually 4 different colors here in the interface that are all different shades of black, including events and control, which are just way too similar to each other, and then your variables are also another shade of orange. So I'm going to go with something a little different here. Let's change the control blocks to a nice bright yellow color instead. So I'm just going to tweak these settings a little bit and just make it look a little more obviously different from the other ones. Here we go, and let's go look at our control blocks, and you can see, whoa, well, that's a little hard to read. We can fix that inside of Scratch add-ons by going down to text color here and changing the text color to black, but solving the problem for one kind of block creates a new one for other kinds of blocks. So I don't necessarily recommend that unless you go with a whole bunch of really bright colors. There's also one more set of options here for changing the look of all your blocks. Here's one that's called Colored on White Background, and you can see what that does. Still not very easy to read with the yellow. And then there's another one here called Colored on Black Background. And there we go. So we've got yellow type here that's quite readable, but again, really difficult with the dark colors. So I don't recommend you use any of these options. White is really the best color for your text here. So I would suggest that you stick with white text and just pick nice, darker, more readable colors here. So let's change this yellow over to maybe a shade of cyan, which doesn't really match anything that's already there. Okay, that looks really good. And we'll go back to Scratch here again, and you can see, yeah, so that certainly differentiates it from the other colors in Scratch. So you can keep doing that with all these different colors and come up with a really unique way to make Scratch look different. So there are also some options here to customize the look of your blocks here under Customizable Block Shape. Let's have a look at those right now. So the first thing I'm going to show you is this option here called padding size, and that's basically how much colored block space there is around your Scratch block. So by default it's 100. We have to actually switch that on in order to use it here. So you could increase that block size quite a bit if you wanted to, but particularly if you were, for example, coding on a touch screen and wanted your fingers to be able to grab these blocks and do stuff with it. And you can see that quite dramatically changes the shape of your block. So I think we're gonna have to hit a refresh in order to see that. Let's do a screen refresh. And you can see we've got quite a different look to these blocks here. We can also do it in the other direction and make the spacing between between the text and the edge of the block a lot more narrow. So let's change that to perhaps 50 here and see what that looks like. So back to scratch, and that actually happened right away, and you can see that we've got something much different working here. Now, this actually might be really handy if you're working with very complex scripts and you want a lot of it to be visible all at once. So I think this is actually quite a handy little feature here. Now, let's revert the blocks back to their original size again. We'll go back to 100. I also want to change you how to show you how to change the edge of your blocks, and that's something called corner size here. So the corner size is set to 100 by default, but let's try changing it to 0. Now back to scratch again, and you can see that our blocks no longer have a rounded shape. They're actually they have sharp corners on them. Let me go the other direction and go with a really big number here. So let's go with 300, which is the biggest we're allowed to go here, and see what that does. Well, now we have super rounded blocks. The other thing we can do is change the notch shape, which is the amount that these notches here, the kind of puzzle shaped looking pieces, fit into our blocks. So you can make that deeper or shallower depending on what your preference is. So here's the notch height set to 100. Let's change it to 10, or to 0 actually. And back to scratch again. You can see there are no notches at all anymore. And we've got a very different look for scratch here now. And back to the interface here, and let's try something much bigger, up to 150%, which is the maximum value. And then back here again, you can see that we have very deep indentations here now. So let's do something really funky here with scratch. Let's, in addition to changing the shapes, let's just, I'm gonna go with totally rounded blocks with no notches cut into them. So let's go back to scratch here again, and I'm going to cut down. So let's take the corner size. We'll make it 0. We'll make it 300. We'll take the notch height and we'll make it just a little bit, maybe 10. And then we'll take the padding size and make that drop down as well to maybe 70. All right, let's see what that looks like now. There we go. So I've got a much different look for my scratch interface now, different colors as well, and looking really good. All right, to really finish messing up the look and feel here, we're going to go into the option here that says Editor Dark Mode and Customizable Colors, which will put us automatically into dark mode. You can see it right here. Wow, yeah, this is looking a lot different now, isn't it? And you can change some of these accent colors around and come up with variations on dark mode by going down to the presets at the bottom of the screen here, or the bottom of this particular option. Let's pick Turbo Warp Dark, which will make it look a lot like the Turbo Warp editor, which some of you guys might be familiar with, a way to run Scratch projects much faster using a Java environment. All right, so you can see our pull-down menus have changed here in this new interface. Our right-click menus are also black, and everything just looks much different. So that's just scratching the surface of some of the amazing ways that you can customize and modify Scratch using this really cool Scratch add-ons extension. If you like what you saw here, just leave me a comment and I'll be happy to come back and do some more tutorials on cool ways you can customize Scratch using this incredibly useful tool. Hope you enjoyed. All right, well, I really enjoyed playing around with that. I suggest everyone go get that Scratch add-on thing, even if you're not interested in changing the look and feel. There's just some great functionality buried in that program that I think can really help run Scratch better. I love this pause button in particular. It's a really useful little feature. Hey, we're joined by Aiden, who's a longtime ChromeWorks member, back from the beginning days at the beginning of the pandemic. And he has been off the server for a while, but we just gave him permission and put him back in again. Aiden, do you have a microphone there? Doesn't look like it. All right. Well, oh, there you are. Hey, Aiden.
Hello.
Hi, Aiden. Nice to see you again, buddy.
Mm,
What have you been up to? Are you making anything of scratch nowadays?
no graduate, so to start making scraps again.
Okay, so you just kind of started getting back into it again, eh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you have anything to share with us, please share it, and we'll put it on the stream in the future. All right. Anyway, let's move on here, guys. As I said, if anyone is on YouTube and lurking, please give a little hello, and we'd be happy to have you on the stream. By the way, there will be no stream next week. Once again, I'm traveling. I'm going to be in Vancouver next week, so I'm just going to have to cancel for 1 week, and then after that, we should be pretty good right through Christmas. We're going to be doing a stream every week after that, but we're just going to take one more last week of vacation here while I go and attend to some business in my hometown of Vancouver, British Columbia. All right, guys. So the other thing I wanted to show you today was I was just surfing around Scratch looking for interesting projects to show you guys and talk about. And I found a really cool project that was pretty big last year called Just 12 Blocks of Code. I'm wondering if any of you guys out there in the user community have seen it before. It's a Scratch art project, and I just love the economy of code in this. That you can do so much with so little code. Let me show you what it looks like first. And so it's just dots moving around in a strange kind of swirling concentric pattern, and they change color. They kind of explode out and then come back towards the middle again. I'm impressed by how much complexity you can get with so little code. And in a second here, I'm going to show you how the code actually works. Isn't that neat looking? Wow. All right, so let's take a dive into this and show you guys what's up here. So this is a project, as you can see, it has some pretty good views, over 12,000 views on Scratches, and remixed many, many times. This has been a very popular item, and it was actually featured last year on Scratch as a project that the community was remixing like crazy. Anyway, let's have a look at the code here. And that's it, just 12 blocks of code. So when you click the green flag, it sends it off to a custom block here called Create Clones. And this would seem to be unnecessary, right? Because you could theoretically just attach all of this under the green flag. But the reason that the creator did this, and it's actually quite interesting, is because in the custom block here, he's right-clicked on an option. Let me get into the menu item here, Edit, and that is Run Without Screen Refresh. Now, this is something that I don't use very often in Scratch, but it's quite useful because what it does is it will run through its... Normally, every time you go around in a loop inside Scratch, it switches to the next frame of animation. So it would create one clone, and then another clone, and then another clone. And everything would be kind of out of sync. But because we've clicked that little option in the bottom left there, Run Without Screen Refresh, everything, all 18 of these clones are being made simultaneously. And so let's have a look at what's actually being cloned here. So over in the costume, it's just a series of circles in a circle. So to see what's happening here, let's go take this repeat loop and we'll change it to 1 instead of 18. Now, so it's what we're doing is creating a clone and then turning it 20 degrees and then creating another clone. And then once the clones are created, they're just moving a little bit and then rotating a little bit and then changing color a little bit. So let's see it with just 1 and you'll get a sense of how this program works here. So it looks like a lot of super complicated stuff is happening here, but really it's just these circles spinning around the screen in a complete circle. So the circle, it's a circle with circles in it moving in a circle. And once you start to add multiple circles to it, so I'm going to go create a second loop here and let's restart the program. And you can see that they're off kilter with each other because each one is rotating Each one is rotating 20 degrees off from where the one before it was. Now the 360 degrees in a circle, so it's 360 divided by 20, as all you math whizzes out there will know, comes up with 18. So if we want a circle of these circular circles, we're going to need to repeat this 18 times. Let's try that again and run this. And so you can see it's kind of hard to see the individual circles now that everyone is moving in their own direction, but there are in fact 18 different circles here, all spinning around independently. In the end, it ends up looking like one gigantic project though, and this is the magic of animating a whole bunch of stuff all at once. I just think this is the coolest thing anyway. So you can change these numbers around, but I would suggest you always make it add up to 360 so that you complete a total circle around here. For example, I could go 36 by 10 degrees, and that'll make a much more tightly packed package here. So let's have a look at that now. I'll click the green flag. Whoa, and we're into something even more complex here. Now, there's so many ways you could remix this, it's not even funny. One of the easy things you could do is just change the graphics around. So I've gone into the costumes here. I've created a brand new costume that's in the same pattern, but it's just a bunch of lines instead of a bunch of circles. And let's see how that changes the project around. Let's click the green flag. And again, we've got something kind of neat here. It's different. Anyway, that's cool. You can also take sprites and pop them into this as well. I was playing around with a sprite from the magic wand icon. I'm going to go choose a costume here. I'm going to type in the word wand. And I'm going to grab this second wand here, the wizard's wand here. I'm going to remove the wooden part. And now I've got a really cool looking little 3D star here that I can use to duplicate in this. So let's take one of these. Maybe I'll blow it up in size a little bit here. And now let's try running the program with that as a graphic instead. And check that out. Whoa, I think I'm going to go back to 18 clones instead of 36 clones and see what that looks like. So let's go back to the code here. And we'll go 18. And again, we want it to add up to 360. So I'm going to change that to 20. And I think this will be a little less tightly packed. Have a look at that. And there we go. That's looking cool. Now, one of the things I was experimenting with was having multiple graphics in the same bit of code here. So, for example, duplicating this and having each one go 9 times and then switching costumes in between. The problem I ran into, though, is I wanted these to have a delay after them. So I wanted to add a little bit of a delay here, let's say 1 second. So the second graphic, whoop, I have totally destroyed this. So the second graphic started going a second after the first one. But what I discovered when I tried running this, okay, let's try switching the costumes up here as well. Let's go switch costume to, so we'll do the wand at the beginning, and then we'll switch costume back to dots again later. To 12 red dots here. Okay, now here we go. But the weird thing that happens here is everything's off kilter. I tried adding a different delay, like a 5-second delay. Actually, let's do 2 complete circles here. So I'll go 18 by 18. I don't want half circles here. I just want the circles to be delayed by each other. And what's going to happen here is theoretically, they should be delayed, but I've got all these weird delays and jaggedy stuff happening in here, and then it starts running, and it's just not doing what I expected it to do. The reason for that is, again, this little option here, run without screen refresh. So what it's doing is it's creating 18 clones, waiting 5 seconds, creating 18 clones again, and then running the when I start as a clone, which of course isn't what we want. So in this case, I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to go back to run without screen refresh. And now it's actually going to do what I wanted it to do. Let's add a bit of a delay here, like 3 seconds. And let's see what that looks like now. So you can see that the timing's a little off. It did it in a little swirl. And I've got this other one forming here. And I could put a third one starting at the edge as well if I wanted to, right? So let's just duplicate all of this, and we'll add the lines in there as well, which is, I think, red dots 2 here. Let's have a look at that. So by turning off that function, I kind of messed up the synchronization, and I think I've kind of ruined this a little bit. But you can see how we can get some interesting patterns in here. So how could I fix this up without turning this off, eh? That we'd have to, so it seems like having this run without screen refresh is really critical here, but as soon as I do that, I can no longer introduce delays into this thing. So what I could actually do is, what was your suggestion, Jim?
If you just make a second custom block and then change the, actually, no. Just call this, go into the My Blocks and call the create clones a second time.
Ah, okay.
And in between, put your wait 3 seconds and switch costume.
Oh, and we could do that in here, eh? Well, that's an interesting idea, Jim. That's actually really interesting. That's actually, I think, will work. So let's just
Yeah, so you just keep the one, take everything else,
exactly.
and then
All
with
right.
that.
And then we'll switch costume and add a delay here in the main program, eh? That's an interesting idea. Absolutely, I think this is the best way to go. So we'll go wand at the beginning here, and then we'll switch costume to a different one here, red dots, and we'll switch costume to the third costume. I got the order messed up here again. And then in between these guys, we're going to add a bit of a delay here as well. So we'll just go 2 seconds in between, or actually, yeah, after the first one. So we want the first one created right away. And then before we create the second clone, we're going to want to wait 2 seconds. And then before we add the third clone, we're going to want to wait 2 seconds again. Have you guys noticed how my tool palette is hidden here? That's another feature from Scratch add-ons. Just gives you a little more real estate to do your coding, and it just reappears when you move your object to the left here.
You see the lock on the top, like on the palette?
Yeah. And so you can lock it if you do want it to stay in one place. Yeah, that's a nice little add-on. So you use all these add-ons quite a bit, I guess, Jim. What's your favorite one? What do you like to use yourself?
So I changed all the colors of my blocks and the background, and you can also change the colors on the home page too. But something that this is a really small thing, but I like a lot, is you can make sounds when you place the blocks. So like there's an option to turn on like a pop sound when you stick blocks together.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't like that, but I like it a lot.
It's a little bit of feedback that you put stuff into place, eh? Yeah, I think that's actually a really cool
Yeah,
idea.
also when you throw blocks out, it makes like a garbage can sound.
Oh, really? And so all this... You know what? I'm going to turn that on right now because that sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, let's get into here. If I go search for sound, editor sound...
There it is.
Let's turn that on and see what that's like. Here we go. So it's when you snap blocks down. Maybe I have to refresh it to get that working.
Maybe.
Sometimes these things... yeah, let me remix
Did
this
you
one.
save this first?
Yeah, I'm remixing.
Oh, you're gonna remix it.
Yeah, and now let's try this out. Oh, I haven't shared the address of this Scratch project, by the way, in case any of you guys want to try it at home. I should probably give you that right now. Just 12 blocks. And then we'll have a look at our sound effects here. So I'm going to post that into the chat in Discord and YouTube in case anyone else wants to try this out. If you come up with an interesting 12 blocks variation, please send it to me, and I'd love to show some of them on the stream sometime. Even if you can get something going before we end here today, I can probably show a bit of your work here today if we get a chance. Okay, let's go back and see if our sound effects are working now. Oh yeah, here we go. Let me turn my volume up a little bit. So you can see that when I add new blocks, there's a little snapping sound when we put them together to each other. That's cool. And then when you throw them away, haha, I like that too. Very cool little feature, Jim. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So we were testing out Jim's solution to the problem of synchronization here, which is take it out of the custom block and leave the run without screen refresh to keep everything synchronized. Let's see what that looks like now. So let's run the program. Beautiful. And then 2 seconds later, we get some other stuff going here. Oh yeah, we've got something quite complex going here now. And all the colors are shifted because they're not all starting at the same time. This is cool. One of the things I noticed is that some of the graphics, if they're a little bit too big, it loses its circular shape because, of course, your screen is wider than it is tall. So these objects can go all the way to the edge of the screen, but then when they hit the top, they stop moving. And that will compress your circle a little bit. And with some of these graphics, it'll mess around with your perfect circle. The way to fix that is to make your object move a little bit less here. So instead of moving 1 step here, we could go move 0.8 steps here, for example, and that'll solve our problem. Let's restart this code. And so it should stop and turn around before it hits that hard edge that's making it deform. Let's see what it looks like as it's compressing here again. I still think it might be out a bit too far. Anyway, I think this is a fantastic program, so if anyone out there is interested in making their own variation on this and creating some cool computer art, as you can see, it's not very complicated. It's just a matter of getting into these costumes and changing them to something else. You can change the backgrounds around and do all kinds of amazing stuff. You could even like put words and stuff in here, I would imagine, and that would look cool as well. So eager to see what you guys come up with. All right, what's their time looking like? 10:36. So I have some of my, as I was saying, my co-op students have put together some fantastic work for me this week. What I usually do when I get a co-op student started with me is I get them going on my cat and mouse curriculum, and then I challenge them to make a new game based on what they've learned, or just to modify the existing game. And so Aiden and Kevin have both come up with something. Was someone trying to say something there?
Yeah, can I just suggest the 12 blocks project reminded me of something. I put it in the Discord.
Sure. And what's that, Jim? Let me call it up here right now. This is a 10-block challenge. Tell us about it, Jim.
So I think a few years ago, the Scratch team put out a challenge for they only gave 10 specific blocks that you had to use. You could use them. Oh, actually, it's a little bit different in that you can use. They gave a specific set of blocks that you could use, but you could use them as many times as you wanted.
Right. And
so you're gonna see what happens when you click the flag.
Looks like. Click to start the animation. So let's have a look at the code in here. Interesting.
And the blocks are really simple blocks. Look at these blocks.
Oh. Yeah, there's really nothing too complicated here. Not even using any, well, just using a repeat loop and some wait blocks and some go-to blocks, eh? And creating quite the...
Yeah, no costume switching. You see how he got them to change costume? If you look at the costume,
yeah,
he's only using one costume.
And oh, it's just, oh, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Wow. So a good example of how constraining people and making them work within limits like that often comes up with the most creative solutions. If you give everyone the kitchen sink to throw at stuff, they're often not going to come up with something as creative as when you give them a limited palette of choices. I think it's a fantastic idea. There's actually some psychological studies that show this, that people are more creative when they're constrained, when they have limits that they have to follow, than when you just let them do whatever they want to. It's an amazing way to get something different out of people. So that's another great example, Jim. Thanks for sharing that with us. All right, so I do want to move on here. Here's that pause button in action, by the way. That's kind of cool. Whoop. Well, I broke the program. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, let's move on. So, as I said, when I get my co-op students working with me for the first time, I usually set them loose on cat and mouse and see what they can come up with, and then I challenge them to make a little first video for me about how about their first experience making a Scratch game. And some of these guys already have some experience with Scratch, but I like to run them through this exercise anyway. So let me show you the two videos that we have produced here. Aiden made a very competent remake of Cat and Mouse for you, and he's going to tell you all about it. So let's get to that one first. Today we're going to give Scratch a fun little makeover to change the look and feel of the program.
Hey guys, my name is Aiden, and I'm going to be one of the new co-op students that's going to be working with.
Okay, so today I'm going to be showing you guys my little addition to the cat and mouse game. So on the mouse's code, what I did was made a variable over here in variables, called it time. And so basically when you start the game by clicking the green flag, the time will start at 5, and it'll constantly be going down by 1, so every second it will go down 1, so it'll be basically counting down from 5. But the extra thing is that every time you catch a mouse, it'll go back up. So it's like a race against the clock to see how long you can survive for. A few other things I added was, as you can see, if you catch a mouse, it'll say bye, and if you end up losing, aka the timer runs all the way to 0, it'll say, your little mouse will say, game over. A few other things, I changed the colors slightly, not drastically at all, because I like the original colors. I chose some chill music, which is just in the Scratch library. Right here. I made it a bit slower and a bit quieter. And then I made a little pop sound, because I think that sounds pretty nice when you're catching all the mice. And yeah, I'll just show you guys a full screen version of me playing the game now. So you see, start at 5 seconds, constantly running around, catching them, and if it runs out, game over, and your little guy says bye. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you'll try out the code, maybe learn something new, and I'll see you guys later.
Anyway, thanks for that, Aiden. So just another one of the countless examples we've run on this program of ways that you can customize a simple game like Cat and Mouse and change the rules around with just a little bit of a code tweak. So that's really cool. Now, I also sent Kevin loose on Cat and Mouse, and he came back and did a totally different game for me. I think he just wanted to take things in a different direction. So he actually made a Plants vs. Zombies style shooter game, and I'm going to show that to you next, guys.
Hi everybody, my name is Kevin and I am a co-op student with Chromeworks. Today I will bring to you a game I made from scratch and it is called Shooting Zombies. They're coming. Pew, 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 pew. No! So yes, today I will be teaching you guys how to make a game called Shooting Zombies. First of all, we're going to have to say goodbye to our good friend, Pat. And then we'll just go into Google and search up Plants vs. Zombies Zombie Walking GIF Scratch. And then you'll find this one that says scratch.mit.edu. Click it, right click, then press Save Image, and then we'll do the rest for the same. Alright, so after we have uploaded everything from the internet, we can start to create our game. And first of all, we have to make everything except for the zombie invisible so it won't block our way while we make the game. And as you can see, I've named my document Shooting Zombies. First of all, when the green flag is pressed, it will hide this main zombie. We call it the main zombie because it will spawn multiple clones. So the forever loop here, so it will create a clone of myself, which is this thing, and then we'll wait and pick random number between 1 to 3 seconds. So this will control how fast the zombies will gonna spawn. So if you go 1 second, it will spawn every 1 second, which is going to be a lot and a lot of zombies. If it's 1 or 3 seconds, it could be 1, 2, or 3 seconds. And that would be like much more after easier. That, then we'll do the next part. So when I start as a clone, it will go to the x coordinate -130 and y coordinate between -130 and 130. It will also show, because remember we said hide over here, and then it will forever loop change x by -2, which will mean it will go this way. And then if the x position is smaller than -130, which is going to be here, so if it crosses this line, we basically lose. Then it will broadcast the message 1. We'll change this to game over. And then it will wait 1 second and then stop everything, all the functions. And then we will do the when I start as a clone again, then forever loop if the key space is pressed and it is touching the scope, meaning this thing. So this part is for when we press the key space to fire a bullet at the zombie. So if it is touching the scope and it has been pressed the key space, then the zombie will die. And this is how it's gonna die. It's gonna change into ghost and fade away. So that's how it's gonna die. Oh yeah, we have to add a delete clone as well. Right here. Alright, so after we've completed the zombie part, we'll move on to the scope part. So to control the scope, we'll use the up, down, left, and right arrow keys. So when we press the up arrow key, it will change the Y by +10, meaning it will go up by 10. So this way is positive, this way is negative, and for X, this way is positive, and that way is negative. So when the down arrow key is pressed, it will do it by -10, meaning it will go this way. When it pressed the right arrow key, it will go by +10, meaning it will go this way. And when it's pressed the left key, the X will change by -10, which means it will go this way. So now we will work on the bullet holes. So bullet holes are optional. If you want your game to look more realistic, then you can add bullet holes. If you're fine with everything else without bullet holes, then this is like optional for you. So first of all, you have to hide the main bullet hole, so because we'll be creating clones of the bullet hole as well, just like the zombies. So when the space key is pressed, so space key is basically how you shoot. You press the space key and then it'll shoot at the zombies. Then every time you press it, it'll create a clone of myself, and the clone, it will have to follow the scope, which is this thing over here. It has to follow it, but it won't show while it follows it. Every time it's pressed, then it will show for about a couple of seconds, and then it will fade away like a ghost, and then it'll delete the clone. And the last part, for the game over part, it'll be pretty simple. Just when the flag is pressed, then it will hide, and then when I receive game over, which is going to be right here. So remember, when the zombie hits this part, it will broadcast game over, and it will start the sound game over. And then it will just show this, and meaning that you lost the game. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to share it with your friends. Have fun coding.
Sorry about that. My audio was switched off there for my YouTube audience. Anyway, I was saying that that there's a good example of how you can take a simple concept and keep adding to it. So this Plants vs Zombies project, you could add different monsters and all kinds of different effects and things like that to fancy it up. So we're starting with a very basic project, maybe 50 or 60 blocks, and keep adding Christmas tree ornaments to it to make it cooler and cooler and more complex. Add an introduction to it, add an ending to it, and in the end you've got something that's really cool and original. So these projects that you're seeing here, often they're a starting point rather than a finishing point. It just take the code that you've seen here, add to it, and start building on it until you see what kind of cool idea you can come up with. Anyway, guys, so that's about all the content I have for you this week. Did anyone do has anyone had a chance to make a remix of my, of the 12 blocks project at all? I'm happy to show them if anyone's come up with one. If not, I'd love for you guys to email me a link and I will show them on the next stream. Once again, my email address, where did my email thingamabob go here? I've lost it. Here it is. So email me at info@chromeworks.ca and I'll be happy to show you remixes. If there's anything cool that you would like to show me that you've made in Scratch, I'd be happy to show it on my stream. So please, by all means, share with me and I'll help make you a little famous. Okay, guys, so that's it for this week's episode. I really am glad you all joined me. Once again, there will be no stream next week, Saturday. I'm going to be out of town. And then after that, we're going to go right through till Christmas. And we're going to do a stream every week. You'll be meeting some more of my co-op students next week. And I can't wait to show you what we're coming up with. So look forward to doing that. In the meantime, happy